Right, ladies and gentlemen, a very scarce first edition 1881 book called Wiltshire Rhymes Never Before Published, a series of poems in the Wiltshire dialect by Edward Sloe of Wilton, price 1 shilling, published Simpkin Marshall, London, 1881. And that's exactly what it is, to such an extent that even the introduction is in the Wiltshire dialect. To thou ways, country folk, I in sending out another little book of Wiltshire rhymes, I feels as how I ought to say a few words to 'ee now. I be terrible much obliged to 'ee all for the kindness you've always showed in me buying on 'em up. And so it goes on. And the poems are basically in the Wiltshire dialect, apart from 3 at the end, rather funny ones, are in ordinary English, but all the rest, of which there must be sort of, well, that many, are in Wiltshire dialect. There's the Wiltshire Moonrakers and various other ones. There's one called Blondin, obviously about the tightroper at Wilton Park, Harvest Wom Song, Harvest Home Song, The Moonraker and the Layers Clerk, a Wiltshire Boy's Lines on a Girt Big Figgetty Pudding, I presume about some sort of plum pudding, and so on. The Spiteful Turk, and so on. And any, let's have a look at the Great Big Figgetty Pudding one, for some examples of Wiltshire poetry. A Wiltshire Boy's Lines on a Girt Big Figgetty Pudding. When I were a girt hard boy, we appetite our muscle coy, the base thing out to gie I joy, were a girt big figgetty bun. So it goes on. So if you're well up on Lincolnshire, Wiltshire language, you'll understand that. So there it is. The binding, the spine is missing. There's just the webbing of the spine there. As you can see, the spine is missing. A nice illustrated typographical back page as well for the printers. So the spine is missing, fragile, but it's held on by, there's a fragment of the spine I rescued. It's held on by its webbing, so no spine, and scuffed cover, obviously, but it is a scarce book. There are currently just 3 copies of this on the 140 million volume Abe Books second-hand and antiquarian book site. A second edition, this I think is a first, is priced at £55, and the other 2 copies are not in great condition, are at £48, and there's a copy selling at £86. It's that kind of book. So there we are, a scarce book, 1881, a series of poems, very amusing, in the Wiltshire dialect. Thanks so much. Bye.